Digital technologies has changed the face of business by the ways in which we use them in our personal lives, work, and society, and especially with the pandemic, it has become the norm of major is that MSMEs are still finding it difficult to match the pace of this change as it is phenomenally faster with multiple technologies, and MSMEs are not having enough needed guidance. Hence, this panel discussion will throw light on digital transformation in MSMEs. We greatly look forward to hearing the viewpoints of our eminent speakers who have taken time of their busy schedule to join us for this enlightening session. The session would be moderated by Dr. Pradeep Pense, in charge, Director University Programs and CTO V School, and co-chairman of the IMC Digital Technology Committee. Sir, please may I request you to come onto the dais? And the distinguished panelists joining him on the dais would be Mr. Binai Thoppil, Director, ODeX India Solutions Private Limited, Mr. Rajiv Mitra, CEO and Director, Sunfresh Agro Industries Private Limited, Mr. Rajiv Rajda, Chief Information Officer, All Time Plastics Private Limited, Mr. Vaibhav Palan, Head Digital Product and Technologies, Wholesome Global Digital Hub. May I request all the dignitaries to kindly join us on the dais? And I request Dr. Pense to take over from here. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Good evening. Hello, hello. Is it audible? Can you push the volume, please? Hello, hello. Good evening. So we have a very rapid kind of a panel discussion today. We have 30 minutes and there are 4 panelists here, eminent panelists, to talk on a fairly complex subject of digital transformation, but focused on MSME. The context here is that the Digital Committee and in fact IMC, as Mr. Khurakiwala had outlined right at the start of this year, focused on MSME as a theme. And towards that, we've done a number of programs during the year, which largely focused on what you might call as the micro segment of the businesses, and towards, let's say, things like individual productivity and team productivity and things like that, and of course fintech and things like that. But today are going to focus on the MSME segment, which is the slightly bigger segment within that. And we have here representatives of companies which are in that area of MSME. At the same time, we have technology representatives as well. And without much ado, let me start the discussion, and it's going to be more like a chat rather than a discussion. So I have to begin with, let me start with Rajiv Mitra. What I'm going to ask a common question to all of you is, can you please describe very quickly and very briefly, given the time constraint, your context of business and some of the challenges and opportunities that you are trying to focus on as a business first, before we get into the technology side of it.
Thank you very much. I hope I'm audible. Thank you for having me here.
Can you get the mic up, please? Yeah, please.
Yes. Good evening. I represent a dairy company, and it so happens it is the world's largest dairy company, Lactalis. So I am not a technology company, not a small company. So you would think, what am I doing here? So in dairy, very quickly, what do? Farmers produce milk. We go and collect milk. And that milk, when collected in villages across the country, we bring that milk to our factories. And we produce so many things in our factories, and then we distribute. distribute what? What you have on your tables for breakfast, for lunch, cheese, butter, milk, everything. So, cattle management, we have to use technology. To bring milk to our factories, management of logistics, we use technology. In factories, it is very well known that it is digitization and technology that helps produce without inefficiencies. In distribution, we use technology. In value addition, to create products according to your preferences, we use technology. So it may seem or sound very abnormal why this man is sitting here today, but in everything we do, we use technology. And the irony is, we have doyens of the IT industry sitting here. India is a powerhouse in IT. India is a powerhouse in dairy, the world's largest producer of milk. But the usage of IT in dairy is not what it should be. So there is a long way to go. So that is what we do. And but it is much better than what it used to be. Today we see boys and girls coming out of IITs and NITs, starting something to do in agriculture, a smart tech company to be utilized in dairy or agriculture, which is a huge help. And we are globally one of the largest users of technology and technology platforms in our operations. So thank you. I think that this would be good to start.
I think one other reason why you are here is also because I think something like a Prabhat Dairy which existed, which is now part of Lactalis, I think that's a transformation which many small businesses see over a period of time. So they rise to a certain level and there's an investment coming in and therefore there's a change. And this change invariably brings in fresh thought and technology for sure. And probably that's one thing which you want to talk about. The other thing I wanted to mention about you in person is that here's a person who's been in technology field for almost 20 plus years, in telecom for 10 years, and now he's heading a dairy company. I think what difference does that make? Would you want to answer that?
No, it makes a huge lot of difference. The perception that dairy or agriculture is very traditional is not true anymore. And that is the reason somebody finds me fit to head a dairy company of this scale from a digital and technology background. So things are changing. So there is a huge amount of utilization of technology required in traditional, conventional companies to go to the next level where we want to go.
Yeah, which means for the SME, I think the CEO or the owner, his own knowledge about technology will make all the difference. That's what probably we are trying to say.
Absolutely.
In as much as we say that maybe Apple succeeded because of Steve Jobs as a design thinker, so it's almost akin to that.
Yeah, very nicely said. Actually, we don't know what we need.
Yeah.
So we want the technology people to assess our requirements and tell us what we need and how to serve better across both ends of the value chain. On one end we have the farmer and on the other end we have the consumer.
Sure.
So everything goes on in between the value chain. So we don't know what we need.
That's right. Can I now request Rajiv Rajda, who was head of IT for Kodak for many years, and then now he's helping SMEs to do digital transformation. Over to you.
Thanks, Pradeep, and good evening. So, I am right now talking about a manufacturing company, All Time Plastics. And being a manufacturing company based out of Mumbai, India, we are pro-technology, and we use technology in every area of business. And the business challenges are pretty much the same. Coming from a manufacturing focused company, the challenges are how do you improve the productivity, how do you improve the OE factors, how do you improve the cycle times and all this, the general stuff. The important part is that the underlying factor for all these, for implementing and deploying all these things is that how do we improve the overall efficiency of business. Now, improving the overall efficiency of business is a very broad term. And within manufacturing areas also, it includes a lot of other functions. which talks about the production, which talks about the labor workforce, which talks about the quality, which talks about the inventory. So it covers the entire function of the factory operations, the shop floor operations. And yes, that's how we are implementing digitalization as well as some of the newer technologies that are there. So we already have some technology in place and we are improving further with the help of the newer technologies.
So one question which comes to mind with respect to MSMEs is, one is so deeply involved in that business. So in the sense that you have to be physically there in the office all the time and you don't want to let go, you can't delegate. Do you see a change happening in that respect with, let's say, an IoT and things like that, where I could be anywhere in the world actually talking to my customers, whereas the business runs on its own, and I'm able to monitor it from the remote? So.
Oh yes, sure. That is one of the after effects of implementing technology like IoT. And our management is very pro technology. And we believe in empowering our people by using this technology. So it helps them in taking decisions whether they are at the location or even remote. And COVID has already brought in a lot of changes in the way we work. But yes, this is very much relevant factor.
I think so. The insight really is that if an MSME owner is able to automate to a level where he or she can be outside in the marketplace rather than sitting in house and unnecessarily breathing down the shoulders of people, I think it will make a lot of difference in terms of growth and even the productivity as well.
Yes, definitely. And the other factor is that our management is very supportive towards technology.
Sure.
So that
I'll
itself
come to
is
the
very
specific
important.
use cases in the second round. We have Vaibhav Palan, who heads the digital hub of Holcim. And interestingly, Holcim, of course, is in the news right now. But at the same time, I think he represents Holcim worldwide, trying to support all the group companies from here in terms of products and platforms. What is the role of products and platforms from the standpoint of digital transformation? Of course, you have a big picture from a large company perspective, but is there a learning for SMBs based on that?
Sure, thank you. I hope you can hear me. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so I think what we are doing and looking at is from our 30,000 square feet high and looking at the problems. If you look at the problems worldwide, it's common and falls under the same category, which is, either it's customer journey or your business capability enhancement or your core IT capabilities, So we are focusing from a technology or digital transformation standpoint on these three buckets. And then we are building products and solutions, So from your question perspective, MSME, you don't have to start building the platforms if you are not the scale. Start building the products, which is going to help your operations, which is going to help your customers, or, it is going to help your core capabilities. Once you are at a stage, then you go for a scalability and then you try to build a platform. I'll take a simple example. Health and safety is a very important topic for us in India and outside. So we started building a very small product, which is based out of India. We went to the couple of plants. We said, hey, this is where the incidences happened. We started building the product there. We made that product very successful in India, in one of the plants, 2 plants. Now that product within a month, 18 months time has gone to 70 countries, So we started with a small product, which is in 1 plant, 2 plant. Now it's scaled to 70 countries and it's, having few thousand users. So this is how you kind of decide whether you want to build a product as an MSME or you want to go for a platform.
So how different is this? In the good old days, small companies would tend to create solutions in-house. Then we said doing that is not the right way, you should buy products. And so you started buying products from outside. And now we are saying you start building products all over again. What's your take on that?
So I think we also are a buyer of a lot of products from the industry. So a simple lens we use is the non-core capabilities. I think don't try to reinvent the wheel. Payrolls, your O2C, P2P, I think they're all established processes. So don't spend time trying to build capabilities around that. Try to build capabilities around innovation, which is your IP, and go out there and build that. That will help you. And data monetization is one thing which I think Indian MSMEs are not kind of, that's not in their radar. They have a lot of capabilities, lot of data, lot of insights. What we are trying to do is, since we are selling cement, which is across the world, we have got a lot of data, and now the plan is to monetize that data for probably, as you were saying, Rajiv, in terms of dairy business. We are the largest producer of milk, but there's a lot of data points which Indian companies are not monetizing. They're still looking at product as a milk or a dairy products. They're not looking product as data as a product and sell it to the world. So that's the opportunity which we are trying to capture.
Thanks. Binay, I think you come from a software company point of view, and ODeX, we just saw you getting an award. Congrats. You're trying to look at sort of automating an entire ecosystem, at least some part of it. You want to share the context first and then...
Yeah, sure. So, first of all, thank you. And I think we have probably a unique distinction, rather my company has a very unique distinction that amongst the panelists, I represent an MSME because we are an MSME. Out of 35,000 business houses that are our customers, I think 70% of them are MSMEs. And I have a third bigger distinction. All these three gentlemen who are sitting here are my customers. So that's I think, the biggest distinction that I carry. How we are different is that while we got a perspective from the manufacturing, I particularly represent an industry which is completely chaotic. So when you look at a EXIM logistic, an export-import logistics, what happens is you have a container of goods, you push it into a black hole, somehow it magically emerges on the other side. There is a whole lot of people, big, small, micro, and if I were to slip into Hindi, तो उनके बीच में एक जुगलबंदी चलती है और वो जुगलबंदी जो है वो completely offline था और किसी को दिखाई नहीं देती थी. So what happens is that this jugalbandi is good in getting your goods delivered, but then where is the transparency and visibility? Transparency and visibility then leads to cost. And for an MSME, the cost is something that really, really pinches. So what we are trying to do is that while these 20 people interact, what we are trying to do is have a simple community collaborative portal which will ease out this interaction between these people. So if I were to give you an example, earlier, if you want to export a container out of India, so maybe you need about like 10 touch points that are there. And at the last point is something that you get a port entry permit, which is similar to your boarding pass. Now we all travel internationally, locally. You go to the counter, you give your ticket, you give your identification, you get a boarding pass. The problem with a container is that the container is not a human, it cannot do it on its own. How it used to happen in India was very surprising. It used to be paper, there used to be somebody, there used to be a truck standing, there used to be one guy with a paper who goes to an office and get this done. The good thing is that we were at the right place at the right time. The government really, really supported digitization. And one fine day, paper is gone, and suddenly we are running entry gate pass at probably 80% of the ports out of the country. So today what happens is that about 7 out of 10 transactions in an export cycle, at least one of the transactions comes to us. So which means that about 70% of the export containers that go, at least one transaction goes through ODeX. We are I would say, a very, very back-end kind of a portal. We are not in the limelight. We are not trying to sell something. We are not trying to be a broker. We are just trying to be a facilitator. So that's the role that we play as a portal. And I would say that in a very small way, we are trying to ease this whole pain of how this goods move. So that's about us.
Right. So one interesting question that comes is, do you think, and that applies to both of you actually since you are in the platform business, do you think an MSME, just as you are trying to transform one part of the ecosystem, can a MSME try and transform its own customers and suppliers, and that's an ecosystem by itself? And how difficult is it? Particularly because when you, for example, say that you have so many customers, you have a standard process. What is the challenge that they go through in terms of implementing it at their end and to adopt a product which is a third-party product? And so this question is a little bigger because I think today we say A lot of SaaS products are out there. Why don't you just pick and choose and make use of it? Is it that easy really for a medium scale enterprise to do it?
So Vaibhav, if I can go first. Sorry. Yeah, so I love to speak. So all right. So couple of things that we are seeing. One is that the problems of an MSME are very, very different than a large enterprise. So they need very, very focused and specialized solutions rather than a whole suite of solutions out of which, 10 features are there, only 2 are required, but I'm paying for the rest. The other challenge with most of the SaaS players that is happening is that, especially on the platform business, is that the platform then becomes a big daddy and they are threatening the MSME's business. So we see that in many industries. So these are the 2 challenges that the MSME is facing. At the same time, the new generation of, I would say, entrepreneurs or the second, third generation which is coming in is extremely savvy. So they know how to pick and choose the features, how to pick and choose specific products. For example, if I were to give you like a Tally and having a connector on top of Tally and then having a separate, very simple Excel-based reporting tool is far more powerful than buying a ClickView or a, any other big product that is there. So this is what the MSME guys are doing today, and these are the ones who are, following the Jeff Bezos example that adapt, adopt, or die. So these are the guys who are doing the adapt and adopt. So that's how the MSME is integrating, backward and forward by using these specific tools. So you see a lot of them in the market now. You see suddenly Zoho becoming very popular. You see suddenly like ODeX becoming popular because we provide very, very micro things rather than building a full ERP or a very large platform and then I will threaten their business. So that's not going to fly. So that's my take on it. Vaibhav, over to you.
Yeah. No, I think I'll probably answer from the adoption and how do kind of you approach going for the scalabilities. I think whether it's a MSME or large, I think the success lies in starting small and failing fast. So irrespective of it's a MSME or a large enterprise, what we do is we innovate, we incubate, and once we incubate, then we scale. So it's a famous saying that nail it before you scale it. So that's what is the formula for success for us, and I think it applies across the globe. That is what I think will make difference for MSME because you're not putting a lot of money upfront in buying large platforms which you don't need. So start small, fail fast. Another challenge I see when I'm dealing with my peers in the MSME is that once they are in pressure, as he said, it's a FOMO that the competition is gone ahead and I've not gone, so I have to adapt something. Don't fall into that cycle. Each and every initiative which we do has a business benefit attached to that. So if you don't have a business benefit of that particular initiative or pilot or POC, just don't do it. Maybe go for one which helps you from day one. So that will help.
Yeah, while researching on MSMEs last year, I found that SAP and a number of other companies have actually tied up with the government to set up the Bharat ERP and things like that. And so I'm looking at an opportunity where you create almost like an app store for MSMEs where you can go and pick up apps at discounted rates and things like that. So how would you look at solving your problems without having the pain of actually developing or building it and just ready to use, which is available?
Yeah, I know of many in dairy and agri sector. There are many such users who take advantage of picking and choosing and finding a solution to the particular problem that they have. But see, for me, I'll give you a perspective for a global company like mine, where I operate out of 60 countries, out of 250 factories in all these 60 countries. I can assure you that we have all the problems in the world. So I mean, you let me pick and choose anything, I'll pick and choose everything, since I have all the problems. And today, digitization and technology allows me to use a solution to a problem that happened in Croatia 2 years back, or Australia can predict a problem that is happening today in India and get ready with a technology that they will have to adopt 2 years down the line, probably even avoiding the problem altogether. So for me, I have a benefit of scale, sometimes a benefit of hindsight, and sometimes a benefit of foresight. So like I am on SAP globally. And it is true, as you said, Binai, that sometimes I am inundated with solutions to problems I don't have. I know. I do. I agree with that. But that is a problem that may happen to me tomorrow, and I'll be happy if it doesn't happen. It is like buying insurance. I don't want to fall in, but what I have purchased is peace of mind. So I have the whole blanket, and I will find my own small place to get my cover under it. So that is my perspective from a IT solution that I have.
So one other little insight from a research which we had done is many MSMEs don't even have a proper IT man to look after their own internal digital transformation. Rajiv, of course, is doing your bit for a particular company, but the point is, like he said, there are so many solutions. Do you really have a guidance available to a MSME for, you need to answer. Do you think MSMEs really have a guide to tell them what is the right thing to buy? If not, I think the IMC Digital Committee should be doing it, I guess.
If there is no IT guy, then there are other avenues in which you can get information. You can become more aware of the technology. One is there are some specific user groups or reference points that you can get in touch with. Some of your peers or some of your colleagues who are there can give you that information. You can, I think you also mentioned about POC and sort of a test, which is very important. Before doing any solution or deploying any solution, it is very important to understand whether that is going to fit your business, whether that is aligned to your business or no. So a test or a POC will give you that insights into that, and that is very important. To avoid the pains pro-deployment in case you decide to go ahead with that technology.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll also like to just add to that is for the really small businesses and those who doesn't want to invest full-fledged into the technology teams, I think there are now plenty of options in terms of CIO as a service, CDO as a service. So you throw them a problem and say we need a solution for that, and they will be able to craft a solution end-to-end with a business benefit. So if you are now okay with that kind of implementation solution, then you invest and you just pay a part fees to this kind of groups, which is very helpful.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I would like to add, if you go even more micro, beyond the companies that you service, like in India, I am connected to 400,000 farmers. And if I consider them as 400,000 micro units, and they are very savvy, maybe contrary to what we think of the milk producing farmers or other farmers that I don't know of. I know the dairy farmers, extremely savvy people, and from weather forecasting to calving to artificial insemination to genetics to any kind of very savvy people. And then what you are saying, picking from an array of solutions to fit into exactly that problem. Like in Western Maharashtra, we have a problem of mastitis. I don't want to get too technical about it, but in Tamil Nadu, that is not a problem there. There is a different kind of problem. So there it definitely helps to have a mix and match of solutions rather than buying the whole company called SAP.
Anyway, so we are running out of time. So one last question to all of you. In a single word or two words or a phrase, you want to describe what digital transformation means to you? Very quickly.
For me, it means, it really is transformation. As I said, the industry in this country, it's a metamorphic change.
Okay, great. Rajiv, yeah.
Yeah, it's a journey that helps you to change the way you think and work. And during this journey, you need to be, you need to take the learnings that come during the journey. You need to be comfortable with those.
Okay, thank you.
For me, it is exciting future.
Okay.
So, Dr. Pradeep had actually prepared me for this question, so I thought hard, and I think serendipity is the answer for me. So not being a romantic, but as a, yeah. Okay, all right, so that's a googly, but I stick to serendipity because I prepared for it and it's written on my mobile, so. But I'll just take this opportunity to explain, again, I would like to believe that I'm representing MSMEs. Why serendipity? Because most MSMEs, they just find their way, you know. It's like, and it is serendipitous because in finding their way, they will have some elements of luck, they will have some elements of connects, they will have some elements of money, and suddenly it's a viable business. So that's why I feel that the word for an MSME, even in terms of digital transformation, is serendipity for me.
True, I think I use the word not digital transformation, but digital thinking. And if each one of us is to transform our companies, I think individually we need to also transform, right, as individuals. Like you said, design thinking, now it's digital thinking. And in digital thinking, you need to now think about digital first, right? And if you can do that, force yourself. Nobody taught us how to use the mobile phone. We learnt on our own. And every time we switch the phone, we pretty much learn on our own. But when it comes to learning another software, I don't know why we struggle so much. So perhaps we need to put our heart and soul behind it. And if the CEO, the owner demonstrates that, I think to a large extent the problem will be, as you're saying, it's a continuous process of experimentation with new things. That's the way you'll bring in innovation in your company, at the same time find growth and success. Thank you so much to all the panelists for giving us their insights. And thank you for having me here. So,
Thank you. A huge round of applause for the panelists, ladies and gentlemen, for treating us to such an enlightening and knowledgeable session. May I request Dr. Pense, please do not, please be on the stage. May I request Dr. Pense to present a memento as a token of appreciation to Mr. Binai Thoppil for investing his precious time for this discussion. May I request Dr. Pense again to present a memento as a token of appreciation to Mr. Rajiv Mitra for investing his precious time for this discussion. May I request Dr. Pense to present a memento as a token of appreciation to Mr. Rajiv Rajda for giving us his much valuable time. May I request Dr. Pense to present a memento as a token of appreciation to Mr. Vaibhav Palan for investing his time for this panel discussion. And also all of you panelists for giving us yes at such a short notice. May I request Mr. Juzar Khorakiwala, President IMC, to present a memento as a token of appreciation to Dr. Pradeep Pense. Okay. Well, can I request Mr. Singhania, President-elect, to present a memento to Dr. Pense for moderating this session excellently. Thank you, sir.